Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new Fleet Europe video podcast. Today, my guest is Yuliya Lapenkova. Yuliya, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Steven.
It's great to have you with us today. Yuliya, you are the cost category spend manager, HR services at Philips, but you are also the current European Fleet and Mobility Manager of the Year. I would like to ask you, why is an efficient strategy today a combination of fleet and mobility?
Yeah, that is a great question, Steven. Thank you. I think the best way to explain it is really to replace the word fleet by the word ownership and the word mobility by the word usership. And in both cases, we can take a car as an example, right? The conventional understanding of a fleet or ownership, if you will, is really to have long-term lease contracts from 3 to 5 years, and most of the times it's underutilized by the companies. For it doesn't matter for which purposes. It can be a tool car, it can be a benefit car, right? And then whenever we're talking about the mobility, this is already a usership. This is already a different angle of how we look at it. It can also be a car, because I mean, we have to admit, in the companies we still need to use cars, right? But it's the way how we use cars. So basically, mobility is all about how we utilize them, that we use them only when we need. It lets us be more cost efficient, but also sustainable, because on top of cars, actually, we can also promote some other means of transportation. And it's very much in favor of employees, actually, because that request was already there. So I think it's a really perfect combination to meet all the purposes of the company, and mobility is really an essential in the strategy.
Okay, so it's a perfect match. Good to hear that. Now, of course, we have some challenging elements today when we talk about fleet and mobility. What are the things you can do as a corporate fleet manager or in your role to make the current situation with car delivery challenges, surging fuel prices, inflation easier to handle?
Yeah, I like always saying that every crisis provides with some certain opportunities. So we're definitely in a crisis, we cannot deny it, but there are clearly opportunities for the companies. And I see two big opportunities here. On the one hand, this is again a great moment to look at our demand better. Because before that, the main focus, and especially of procurement, is really on the on the supply side. You know, how we source it, how we negotiate rates, how we consolidate volumes, etc. But the demand is really very important. So now, since we cannot really influence on all the inflation and all the tensions which are happening in the market, it's really a very good idea to start challenging our demand more. Do we actually need car? What car specification we are using? How we actually using our money? Total cost of ownership, meaning, do we need all the services that we are buying today, or maybe we can do something about them? So this is one part, really showing the mirror in front, to our stakeholders. And if you want to keep the budget, then we need to think a little bit smarter in that way. And then the other block, of course, there is still a space for improvement on the supply side, but not in terms of negotiations, maybe, but more about understanding each other. So we are setting a new whole level of a dialogue, right? We need to better understand now psychology of a supplier. Speaking about car manufacturers, what is their priority? What are they producing now? How they prioritize regions? And based on that, we can really set a very healthy dialogue and find a solution together.
Okay, it's great to see that for you, the situation that we are having is not just a disadvantage, but that you also see it as an opportunity for new ideas, new initiatives. And when we talk about fleet and mobility, and let's talk about the latter here, how can adding alternative mobility solutions help you here to overcome, let's say, this challenging situation that we are experiencing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think mobility is, I mean, today's situation is the perfect transition to go from that ownership to usership, as I mentioned before, right? Because obviously now we see that we cannot rely only on one product, car. We don't have enough cars today. We cannot get the car delivered on time, right? So what else we can do for an employee? So this is where the companies can actually benefit and position themselves very well in terms of, okay, I'm sorry, we cannot deliver a car to you, not because of us, but because the market is not producing enough. But we still care for you. That's why we give you another solution how to transport yourself from A to B. This is really very important in terms of how you manage benefit cars, but also for the tool cars, because there's plenty of solutions on the market. And again, as I said before, even tool cars, they are underutilized today. So what else we can do? And there are plenty of solutions on the market how we can share better, and in that sense also decrease number of cars, so we don't need that many cars probably. I think it's really a great transition phase to the mobility, and we just need to take it and use it as an acceleration point for going that way.
Although that you have a very positive mindset, I would like to know what is the most difficult part of your role, of your function as a fleet and mobility executive at Philips, and how do you overcome that?
For me, whenever we're talking about mobility, it should be a global, strategic, and very holistic approach, but it needs to be localized by countries. Otherwise, the strategy will not land, or the initiatives will not fly, whatever. And for me, the most challenging situation is really to negotiate with every local stakeholder within the company so that we still take into consideration country specifics, which is also an essential, but at the same time, we do not really too much deviating, from the overall holistic approach. So I think the big companies are very complex nowadays. So there are so many stakeholders triggered and involved. Every company has its own regulation. It's like really a small country, and then you need to keep up to speed each and everybody. And I think this is the most challenging part of it. So, but if you have a clear strategy, a clear plan, then its success is just there.
Last year, you won an award. You won the European Fleet and Mobility Manager of the Year award. What is today and tomorrow on your to-do list in terms of your program, in terms of your strategy?
So indeed, I was awarded as a fleet and mobility manager, right? And I'm really in big favor of this mobility concept. So I can tell you that I still strongly believe in this mobility concept. So definitely this is where I'm going in my current role, because I'm in a little bit of a tricky specific situation. I changed the companies in between. So, and I already started promoting mobility in my previous role, and that also was accepted actually by population, saying, hey, this is really something you want to start using it. And now I'm just taking it level up. And because the market has developed a little bit, we also best practices, and now the market situation is helping a little bit. So we're just taking all those learnings, and we're leveling up our course towards the mobility. So this is definitely on my to-do list for this year and for the next year. And I think I will get there.
Okay, indeed, looks like an interesting roadmap. Thank you very much for your time, Yuliya. And to the audience, if you want to benchmark your fleet and mobility strategy, then of course you can do that, because the Fleet Europe Awards are here for you. Competition is open right now. Go check out our website, fleeteurope.com, for more details. And who knows, you will be the winner at this year's awards on 17th of November in Dublin. Bye-bye.